And we're back. I'm Dr. Yasser Sonbol. Let's dive right back into today's medical conversation. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Dr. Yasser Sonbol. We're on Real Medicine, Real Lives. If you love what you're watching, don't miss a moment of Battle Ready or any of your favorite Now Media TV shows, live or on demand, anytime, anywhere. Download the Now Media TV app on Roku or iOS. Enjoy instant access or full lineup of bilingual programming in English and in Spanish. Want to listen on the go? Catch our podcast. Want to watch us online? NowMedia.tv. From business, breaking news, lifestyle, culture, and everything in between, Now Media streaming 24/7, ready whenever you are. We're back here today with Bryan Fetzer. He's here to talk to us. Now we're going to start about, we've been having these conversations about, nutrition, exercise, everything else. So now we want to maybe dive into a little bit about how you and your family can build a strong, healthy routine that actually starts at home. So Bryan, if we're going to tell people, hey, you can't go to the gym, etc., but you have family that loves to exercise. I know me and my son exercise together. What are some things people can do at home just to create a family lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle together?
Well, I mean, it really starts in the kitchen, making sure that as parents, or as spouse, your husband, wife, whatever it might be, that you're eating properly. It really all starts with your nutrition. It's such a vital part. And we've kind of shifted so far away from what we should be putting in our bodies from a nutritional standpoint in the United States that it's caused so many problems. There's so many problems of inflammation and long-term, illness that really has a lot to do with our food and what we're not eating and not eating properly. So I think the first thing you got to do is you got to make sure that it's a good, well-balanced, nutritious mindset from the meal standpoint, where every family member can do. Get your kids doing, cooking with you. Get your kids preparing your meals with you. That would be a great way to kind of get things together and teach them how to eat properly.
Great. And how about, let's say busy parents, and what's a good way for them to lead by example for their children, without adding extra stress on them or their kids?
Well, I think one of the things it's my own personal way to make sure that I eat properly is don't bring it in the house. When you go shopping, I'm way more apt to eat the chips and eat the other kind of items that might not be so good for me if they're in my house. If they're not in my house and I provide, the right food, maybe some nuts or vegetables or fruits that can be snacked on when you have those little cravings, keep those in mind. But, as a parent or is somebody in your house with, like I said, husband, wife, make sure you're putting food in there that's good for you and just not having stuff that's what I would call junk food all the way around.
And how do you, what kind of advice do you give people, for their children? Like, for example, my daughter and my son, they love Takis, right? I don't even understand what Takis are, but I've seen them and they're just a mess. My daughter's convinced that Trader Joe's, for example, has these healthy Takis. She wants me to take her to get those sometimes. And, as a parent, I just say, okay, sometimes, and I let her get them. But
Yeah.
how do you, navigate these things with children, especially when they're younger, to say, hey, eat this rather than this, or get them to kind of push them towards a better example of how to pick healthier snacks?
Well, one, hopefully we have some pretty big overall happening within the health community. And hopefully, RFK Jr. can kind of start getting some processes done to regulate what's in our foods. Because that's a big problem when you're trying to look at cost as opposed to health. That makes things tough. But one of the things you can do is, like I said, educate them. If it's packaged, it's probably not as good as something that's in its natural state. I don't know too many animals out there that are looking for the best sugary substance. So for maybe honey. But try to keep things natural. If they want something that's sweet, I mean, some of the sweetest things out there are fruits. Mangoes and bananas. If you get them in the right time, start that at a young age, as opposed to just handing somebody, hey, this sugary, junk that they're eating, give them something that's a little bit more nutrition. It's going to be able to sustain them a little bit more. Because the sugar, when you eat something that's sugary, that has a very low nutritional standpoint, you're going to be hungry again right away.
Right. No, it makes sense. And so would you, even to me as a parent, would you say never let your kids eat those things, or would you say there has to be a balance? Because obviously we talked about this earlier. Once you join these kind of fad diets where you just eat the same, it gets old. And I tell people all the time, even as my patients, they come to me, let's say after they've had a heart attack or stuff, or they want to eat, and they're like, all I eat is carrots and salad. And I say, that's not sustainable, because you're just going to bounce back even harder than you did before you
Right.
were eating that way. So what do you consider moderation in these things?
Well, it's understanding of what is good for you and building it into your system. I can say right now, personally, when I started eliminating sugar from my diet, I stopped really liking sugar. My sweet tooth got to the point where if I ever have, if I'm ever in the good old South and I have some sweet tea, I usually take one sip and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Can you give me maybe like 10% sweet tea and 90% just unsweetened tea? Because your body starts adapting, and when you start eliminating foods from your body, or products that you're ingesting from your body that aren't optimal, your taste buds are going to change. If you ever go through a series of a fast, I would highly encourage somebody that if you've never done a fast, even an intermediate fast, intermittent fast before, you should try it. It's a great way to detox your body from a lot of things that build up in it that aren't so good. But getting back to your point with your kids, get them starting to have alternatives. If they want something sweet, give them some kind of a sweet fruit as an alternative, and just say, hey, try this. Tell me what you think. Give me your honest opinion, and let them try it. And then kind of cycle through some different fruits that they might, have never tried before. I'm kind of crazy in the fact that I'll eat anything. I mean, I try whatever, what it could be, from octopus to, you know, to deer to elk to whatever. I'll try really anything. Because I'm kind of inquisitive. There's certain things that I eat that I'm not real fond of, but give them some alternative. Let them try, something that might be a little bit different.
So this message is for my kids, Dan and Farid. I hope you're watching the show, and if you're watching, I hope you take Brian's advice, because you guys drive me crazy with all the things that I keep asking you to do. All right. So Brian, what maybe one habit or some things that people can start together as a family besides cooking. You mentioned meal prepping
Mhm.
together as one thing. Picking good snacks. What are some other things people can do as a family to kind of feel better together?
Well, find something that you enjoy, and go do it together. And it might be one of those situations where, from a mom standpoint, maybe one of your kid, maybe you have two kids, and one of your kid, really likes to be outside. So maybe go out and play pickleball with them. Maybe it's do some kind of a fun activity where maybe even walking. We talked it earlier, or go swimming, or something that they like to do that you can do together. It's going to build a better relationship. It's going to build a better bond. And then maybe the other one, maybe dad does like to lift weights. Well, maybe your kid can go in there and lift with you, or maybe it's just doing something that is outside of getting away from sitting down and watching TV. Go out, go for a walk together, go to a park together, go do something that's enjoyable, that has a little bit of less screen time on it, and a little bit more of real weather time on it.
Yeah, I mean, even riding a bike. I mean, riding bikes is
Absolutely.
a simple family activity you can do together. I mean, obviously the distance and so forth because of ages makes a difference, but clearly it's definitely something that people can do together. And it kind of leads us into the next question: is why does a healthy home make such a big impact on long-term success?
Well, you're gonna stay out of being sick a lot more,
Mhm.
as one. But the other thing is you're gonna build relationships. You're gonna enjoy spending quality time with somebody, and then maybe that is cooking in the kitchen. You're doing it as a family activity. Maybe it's going to work out. Maybe it's going to go for a bike ride or go for a swim, go to the beach, go to, a gym together, go someplace where you're doing family activities together. It could be as simple as just going and strolling around the mall. If it's cold, there's definitely parts of our country that get to be too cold at certain times or are way too hot at certain times. That's a good alternative. Go in there and walk around. Might cause your pocketbook a little bit of stress if you have if you ever have a little bit over ambition siblings or spouse.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, I mean, even simple things as just going to a public pool and swimming and playing around in the water, right? I mean,
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of things, and you can get creative. That's kind of one of the things that is nice about exercise is not, it's not all cookie cutter. It doesn't all one shape doesn't fit, every person, or one situation isn't exactly for what everybody else does. It can be very, very different, and it can be very changeable from where you live. If you live up north, maybe it's a snow activity. If you live, by water, maybe it can be a water activity. But doing stuff together is going to develop those relationships that you really need.
hmm Yeah. No, this is very true. I mean, I try to do a lot of things with my kids as much as we can, to try to stay healthy and active. Um, Brian, your message has really resonated with us, and I think it's not just with athletes but with families. And before we close again one more time, I'd love for you to remind people, how they can contact you. I think they would get a lot of insight from you with your experience, obviously to lead a healthy lifestyle. So tell us more about Iron Faith Nutrition and Psi Optimal, how they can contact you.
Absolutely. Iron Faith Nutrition is a supplement company, wellness company that we produce supplements for your body that are healthy, that are natural, and that are made in the United States. And then Psi Optimal is a mental assessment and mental optimization and wellness company that works on mental health. And there's a company. Or group, I can't even point to it right, the reel over my shoulder, that's good for mental health as well.
Great. Brian, thank you so much for joining us today. Brian really reminded us today that health is built in real life, in the middle of real life. We're all busy. We all have all these things going around. It's not always in perfect conditions, whether you're juggling work, family, personal goals. There's always a step you can take towards a better, healthier lifestyle and balance. Thanks again, Brian, for your time. And thank you for joining us on Real Medicine, Real Lives. I'm Dr. Yasser Sonbol, and we'll see you next time.